I'd call the meeting to order. Mike, if you want to do a roll call.
Mr. Scholl? Here. Ms. McBride? Here. Mr. Washington? Here. Mr. Vickery?
Present.
Mr. Franco?
Here.
Mr. McLaren? Present. Mr. Witten?
Present,
Mr. Kobe?
Here.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
Mr. McGruder?
Here.
Did I miss anybody? You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll go to the minutes. If you look at the minutes, I'm sure you probably already have. See if there's any corrections or deletions. George?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussions about the minutes? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. President.
I've got three things today. First of all, I'm moving off vacation mode, so it's a little bit on a short side. But anyway, first thing I want to talk about is the stimulus package on the transportation side. And I asked Mike Lamey to come today. Mike, why don't you come up and sit up here right now? He has another meeting, so hopefully we can get through this discussion and then move on. We're in unprecedented times with this, and we've been following the process for the transportation side. The county planning department, with Mike Lamey's oversight, we administer the MPO, which is the organization that plans for the improvements in the urbanized area. And obviously, this is a large segment. Transportation is a large segment of what's going to get an influx of funds. We've been following this very carefully, and I thought Mike could give us a little bit of an update on where things have been, because as this process has evolved over time, the numbers for which we have been looking at or anticipating have changed. And at least I think we can say they started low and they're getting higher. So Mike, why don't you take us through a little bit of that process and kind of what we're looking at in terms of shovel-ready transportation projects, and then we can maybe answer a few questions.
The official name of the act is the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and governments have to have acronyms. That's the ARRA, A-R-R-A. So if you hear me lapse into calling it ARRA, you'll know what I'm talking about. There are some projects in the county that I'm not responsible for, so you need to know what those are. Manteno receives some money. It's between $200,000 and $300,000. If you want to know how much exactly it is and what project they have in mind, you'll have to talk to Village of Manteno. The county highway department receives somewhere around $500,000. If you want to know the exact number on that, you'll have to talk to Jim Karchik and what project he's got in mind. I can give you some exact numbers on some other things. On rural transit, all of the rural transit providers in the state are competing for $21 million. Our county has asked for $275,000. That's 4 buses, and it's replacement radios for the entire rural transit system. Well, I don't know when we're going to know how successful we've been, but we've already made that application. The urban transit system, Metro, has been allocated $1,263,000. And for that money, they have asked for, go through this parking lot lighting and security at the system on St. George Road, the fueling island so they can fuel the buses at their own facility instead of fueling in Kankakee, HVAC for the entire building, a new roof for the building, and an emergency generator. Now, as I say these things, you're going to have to keep in mind that somewhere somebody's going to have to report on how many jobs all these things have generated and how many full-time employees. And I frankly don't know how to figure out what a bus buys you in full-time employees for any length of time. The urbanized area, which includes Rome Park, Urban A, Bradley, Kankakee, and parts of Kankakee County, is going to get $2 million. This is the number you might want to write down because it keeps changing. It's $2,111,598, which is about $1 million more than what we originally thought we were going to get. That's the good news. The bad news is the only shovel-ready project we've got is Burns Road between Career Center and Route 45, and the current estimate on that project is $4 million. So so we're about $1,800,000 short on that project. As of right now, Urban A doesn't have any funding way to come up with that shortfall. We hope in the next week or so we've got some idea how that comes out. We don't have any other project that is currently shovel-ready. Do we have projects that might be shovel-ready in the next year timeline that we've got? I don't know. It's a good question. The state has given us some projects. There's some milling and resurfacing projects. One of those on Route 17 from Loud Road all the way to Route 1, that's $1,700,000. They've given us another one on Route 115, which is from Irwin to Kerner Airport, that's $1,500,000. And then there are a couple of small projects they've given us, guardrail replacement in the area is $60,000. And then pavement marking on the interstate is $30,000. We hear rumors that Armour Road from Route 45 to Route 50 is going to be on the state's program. I don't have any confirmation of that yet. I frankly don't have an estimate for that project.
I've seen it at 3.5.
Okay.
That's probably.
It's not on the program as of right now, but they have it quite close to change.
Third of April or the 24th of April, then?
There's 2 lettings in April, yeah.
Extra one on April 3rd and then regular April 24th.
And I think
Supposed to be on, or it's supposed to be on.
I haven't seen that yet, but I hear that. Any questions?
There was some discussion at one time, and I think it was a little confusing, but that Cardinal Drive would be a shovel-ready project, but that's not true.
Cardinal Drive was already let at the time that the program was announced. In hindsight, maybe we should have held off on that and made it our shovel-ready project because it was ready to go. And it's about the right size. Any other questions?
There's also some discussion.
Define shovel-ready again.
Find 15 people that can agree on the definition of shovel-ready. I haven't found 2 yet, so. Shovel-ready is supposed to mean that if you wanted to, you could let the project tomorrow. So the engineering is all done, the IDOT's given you all the approvals that you need, and you have all the right-of-way. And there's some other parts of that definition too. Burns Road actually doesn't meet those criteria. It's close, but it's not there yet. We don't have any other project that's anywhere close. Just so you get an idea, it takes about a year to do the engineering and get IDOT approvals for a project. And these have to be done by March of 2010, so we are inside that tough window to get these things done.
I heard 90 days, I heard 120 days, but what does that mean? Why would you hire engineers to do a project if you don't have the money to do it? Because you're not gonna spend all that money, so it's a catch-22.
It's a nice catch-22.
I don't understand the shovel-ready, but.
Well, that is a debate on a lot of communities and some of the communities that are not as affluent, they don't have the funds even to get to a project shovel-ready, let alone go for the money. So that's been a big challenge, I think, all around. There's also some discussion, and I think that it should be noted, is that the funds may come in 2 ways. This year for a lot of shovel-ready projects, but there's going to be another wave of this stimulus in about a year. Don, is that true or pretty accurate from where you're?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
Any questions on the stimulus at this point? That's kind of where we are with the transportation side.
We know what the parameters are for the money that's coming in here.
Can you hear it over there?
I can't.
Can you hear it?
Did you know what the parameters are for the package that would be coming in a year? What the parameters that would be?
No. 2 other things on my report. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
First of all, while I was on vacation last week, I was contacted by Dow Automotive. Many of you were aware that the Alliance was contacted. As you're aware, Dow over a period of time has been phasing out their operations at the Kankakee plant. Dow plant called the Alliance last week to discuss with them, or with us, the possibility of what to do with the plant. This week, we toured the facility with representatives of Dow. They were giving us an overview of their plans for how they want to lead the site and what they want to do in the future. And actually, Bill Yonka and I went on that tour. We are going to continue to work with Dow to determine what the plans will be for the building. I would say they'd be totally out, would you say about August, Bill? Somewhere in that time frame, and they'll be on the market. So there's a number of buildings, and also there's quite a bit of square footage, which is important for us, because I know that open vacant square footage is a challenge around here, and that facility could be a potential for some job creation in that area. Yesterday I met with other economic development officials in the northeastern Illinois region. In Chicago, we met with executive top level people at DCO for a discussion on retention, and also what we want to do to coordinate economic development efforts both at the state and local levels. And it was a very good meeting. It was constructive. We've indicated a concern to the state that we need them involved in our retention program, not just attraction of businesses into Illinois, but to assist us in putting together programs to encourage and make our communities a place to do business, even for our existing companies here. I think that we came out with a number of items that are very positive. One of the things that the state's going to work with us on is what we call a rapid response team, that when companies may be looking to leave the state, we will have a very specific team put together that will be able to go to them. Even calls from maybe the governor or the lieutenant governor, or from top people at DCO to talk with the corporations to see what it would take to keep them here. So we kind of turned the corner with the state, and there was a lot of positive things that came out of that meeting yesterday. I think that's about it. So, any questions, anybody?
Normally, we would have a speaker here, but as you kind of gathered, Mike was gone, and we did have a speaker lined up, and that person couldn't make it, thus there's no speaker. Chairman's report. A couple of years ago, probably 2 years and a few months, during the Representative Willard's term, we tried very hard to bring some development to our airport, the Kankakee Valley Airport. Some of you may be aware of what went on at that time. We were trying to widen the runways, give it better impaction, do some other things such as lights and things of that nature. And we worked very hard on it at that time, and even had land options. Even though we didn't have any money, we had the land options. We were able to get all of that and presented it to the congressman, who then presented it to whoever you presented to in Washington. I don't know what goes on over there, but it was presented. And ironically, that presentation was still there. Recently, because of the stimulus package, but because of other things that are taking place, that program has been resurrected. And we had to move very fast on this. We received a call from Representative Halverson and Senator Hutchinson that if we wanted to be part of the stimulus package, that we should have our program presented. So several of us, and we had about 3 days to do this, 4 days to do this, and I don't know why they do that, because that's what they did the last time too. And we really got to work almost even into the night on some of these things. But what we did is we put together the cost estimate, the budget for what we wanted done at the airport. And the people that worked on this was obviously the airport itself, Chairman Glady, and the manager, Jason Lycon. The other people that were present at this meeting, and as we presented this, was Chairman Bossert, the sheriff, because the sheriff's an integral part of this because of the air marshals, and Don Green, the mayor of Kankakee, because the airport is in the city of Kankakee, and there might be, in fact, there will be a fire station issue that will come up, so we were trying to address that, and then myself. We presented these numbers to Representative Halverson. It's kind of hard not to say Senator Halverson. Representative Halverson, in time to get it into the Washington Post, wherever that goes, and then also to Senator Hutchinson, who actually, fortuitously for Kankakee County, she is the vice chair of the Illinois Department of Transportation in that sector. I mean, I'm sure there's other chairmen, but she's, Don, what's her title?
She's a member of the committee.
Is she vice chairman or something?
I don't believe so.
Oh, she's not, okay, well, scratch the vice chairman, I thought she was. But she's a member of that committee and felt that she could present that and follow it. We will continue on that, and one of the criteria again was shovel ready. And in this case, it's a matter of interpretation. We are saying it's shovel ready. So I've heard 120 days to complete it. But a lot of the engineering is done. The environmentals are done. A lot of work that normally takes a year or two is pretty much done or close enough to it. So we are trying to get that to qualify as a shovel-ready project. However, there is $60 billion, I am told, that is sitting in a fund that is set aside for airport improvements. But you have to go through the FAA. If you think the federal government is tough, try to go through the FAA. And that is not going to be easy, but there is a lot of money there. So there will be two avenues that we're going to approach on this. One would be that fund itself, because it really isn't specifically a shovel ready, and you don't have to be concerned about the stimulus package as to how that is disseminated to the various individuals. And then obviously the stimulus package itself. The point is, we're working on the airport again. A lot of people say that, we got the airport there and not much is being done, but if you know anything about, again, the FAA and how complicated an airport is, you'll see why it takes forever to do this. But what was really good yesterday, and up to that point, is the cooperation between everyone. The city, the airport, the alliance, the county, and now our representatives. So to see all that cooperation was excellent. I don't know that it could go that fast years ago, but it was really good to see that. So people say that we're not doing it with the airport and that we're not cooperating. Again, that's bogus, because we definitely had a lot of cooperation yesterday. And hopefully the airport will be able to get this funding. And if we do, the precursor to that would be U.S. Air Marshals using our airport a few times a week. Most of the time when you have, in fact probably all the time, when you have a airport improvement, it's based upon the usage of that airport. We all know about the O'Hare Airport and what the city of Chicago is trying to do. Well, they can make a case that look at all of these landings and look at all this stuff that's going on. So we should have another runway. Here, obviously, we don't have an overusage because it's just an ordinary airport or basically private aircraft, and some corporate come in here in the area. Why we can even do this is through the air marshals and through Sheriff Bukowski's department in the county. And That's being worked on, it's looking pretty good. It may never come to fruition, but we're gonna make a run at it. So I just thought I'd report that to the people that collectively this community is working on that project. We just started a few days ago. We have more people to bring on board and meet on this, because the more people you can get involved, the better off we'll be. And in the near future, there'll be some other meetings of other representatives in other communities. So any questions relative to that?
Can you expand, Joe, a little bit on the value of that project beyond just that's, call it the construction, you know, what is the implication of the longer runway, et cetera, to the larger thing beyond just the public work aspect of that?
It's a good question, and now we get into speculation. If we can get the runway widened and the impact made heavier to accommodate 737s, 727s, which 727s we can land there now, but they couldn't take a continuous pounding. You know, it just can't do that. During the races that they have in Joliet, a couple of 727s will land there, but if they continue that, the runway just couldn't handle it any more than our roads can handle all of the trucks we got coming in from you know where. And our roads are deteriorating because of that. The airport runway would deteriorate nothing flat, so that has to be improved. What the implication would be, and what we are thinking in the longer vision, is now if we got the runway to accommodate a larger aircraft, and as freight becomes more complicated, and as O'Hare doesn't want these people there anymore, they don't want freight. I'm not saying they don't want freight, but they would just assume some of the freight goes somewhere else. Instead of it going to Rockford, instead of it going to Gary, Indiana, places like that are going after this, maybe then we would be able to get the freight. Because when you start looking at the distance between Kankakee and Chicagoland, and you look at Gary and you look at Rockford, I think the trucks could get to this point quicker here than they can where they are because of the gridlock they're in. So there's a strong potential we could get freight here. If you get freight here, then why can't you get industry here? And then what we all believe, and I'll speak for myself, I believe that industry ultimately would come. Now that's not going to come tomorrow, but you have to take your first step before you can start running with it. But our major goal is to get freight here, not just the air marshals. The air marshals are what produce the catalyst and the precursor to what I just alluded to. Any other questions?
Get the freight here, you're gonna get the warehousing too.
Pardon?
Get the freight here, you're gonna get warehousing.
You get freight to your warehousing. But again, you get freight and warehousing, then why not industry?
Just a comment, Judge. It's wonderful to hear this is back on the radar again. I know, like I said, it's been out there for a while. What's discouraging again about it is the time factor that we've had to prepare for this. The Alliance has done a wonderful job in the short amount of time. It sounds like that's happened exactly again. My question would be, you mentioned about the FAA and there's a lot more strings attached and a lot more work. It sounds like to do with the FAA with the $60 billion. You said there was a certain fund.
The FAA has, from what I understand, a $60 billion fund that is set aside to improve airports, and that, of course, is the whole United States.
Sure.
I think to access that fund, though, is very difficult.
I got you.
And it's our intent to try and access that fund, but also trying to get stimulus package too. You hear all sorts of rumors, and I can say I've heard that $16 million seems to be a cap you can ask for. I don't know that it's true or not. When you ask people, you really don't get maybe the same answer. And it's not that anybody trying to be coy. I don't think anybody really knows right now. But what we kind of see is that maybe we would do this in increments. The budget that we submitted, which includes a hangar to accommodate up to a 737, Because if they land here, you have to have someplace you can change a tire, you can do some mechanical work. And so there's a hangar included in that, but with the runways of what we're doing with those, a taxiway, a pad by the correctional center, some securities, lighting and a few things like that, and again, the hangar, we're at about 21.5 million. But that's a budget, and that's strictly us talking. When I say us, again, the Alliance and the county and the people involved in this. When you get into the analytical part of it, lighting, for instance, and all that sort of stuff, that gets a little more intense, and we don't know how to budget that. Is the runway going to be 6,000 feet? Is it going to be 8,000 feet? Is it going to be whatever? That we don't know, but we did the budget based upon what we got and what we think we can produce, and that was collectively agreed upon by everybody. There was some challenges there, but there again, we all felt that let's go from this, and then we can always add to it if it gets out the.
That's good, because I was concerned maybe you weren't looking at that other way to go there, so.
But I think maybe most people thought, those of us who worked on this 2 years and a few months ago, I know I was a little dejected by it. Worked pretty hard on this, and then it just went away because Representative Weller left office, and it just obviously it stopped. But interesting enough, it was found and it's on file there, and to a certain extent, that even created some problems because that which was on file, I think, was up to two different opinions on this. I know there was a $39 million budget before, but that included a whole bunch of towers and things of that nature. That we felt that instead of going after that aggressive of a program, let's make it a little more feasible by eliminating a tower. And there was reasons why we thought we could do that, eliminating a few other things, and that brought it back to the 21.5 million. And again, the hangar itself was the hangar. If you're going to build a hangar, you're going to put a lot of stuff in there. We don't know what stuff you put in there. So even though it's $2.5 million for the hangar, maybe to furnish that hangar properly would be $11 million. We did not, for instance, if you remember in the last program, those of us who worked on it, we were going to move a road, and that was a considerable amount of cost. In the last program, there was a need for 241 acres. That was the exact number, 241 acres. Well, we eliminated most of that too, because first of all, to get assemblage on 241 acres isn't that easy. We did get the options on quite a bit of acreage the last time around, and we did that with no money. It's kind of hard to go to a farmer and say, we want to option your land for 1 year, so you don't sell it, and then not give them any money. And yet we were able to do that, again, with the people around there. We're not doing that this time because, again, I know I'm not going to go to the farmer, as I did the last time, and say, give us an option, and we don't have any money. So we eliminated the 241 acres because we think we can do the first increment without that acreage. Thus we were able to get from the $39 million down to the 21.5.
When you say widening, are you talking about lengthening, thickening, widening, or just widening?
Currently, it would be just widening, 25 feet on each side. There have been discussions and thoughts about extending it. Some of that isn't really up to us. Some of that is up to the air marshals and the FAA. The last time around, some of the information that we were given was based upon pilots saying what they wanted. Upon reviewing the request and the true needs of what was to be done, we found out it was the pilots. It wasn't the air marshals. It wasn't even the FAA. The criteria from that will be developed by the FAA. nobody here has any influence over the FAA. They're gonna come in and say, this is how long your airport has to be, this is how wide it is, this is your impact you have to have. The impact we know, the widening we know, we don't know about the length. If you do the length, now we have to go back to the acreage, in a lot of acreage.
But nothing we're doing now precludes the eventual possibility of lengthening.
Exactly, exactly.
So I guess as a group, the consensus was that we'll view this as a phase one
That's right.
improvement, and there's still the phase two eventuality if the need to be presented.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be 2 and 3 in that regard. Everybody felt it was a good meeting. And again, as fast as we had to move on it, we were able to extrapolate much of this information from the previous work that we've done, and then upgrade it and that sort of stuff. Probably, if nothing would have been done, I think the phone call really came from Representative Halverson. Nick Allen, who's a representative there, it was really Halverson that made the phone call and said, hey, do you want to do this again? Let's get done. And then Senator Hutchinson called up Don, and I met with her. This went very, very fast. And so, yeah, I thank our representatives for actually having that vision. Nick, you got anything to say?
I mean, our staff has been aware of this since she took office in January, so I mean, we're just doing all we can. And like you said, with Weller starting it a couple years ago, kind of at least laid some groundwork for it. So, you know, we see this as a very meaningful project, and we're going to do all we can to make sure it comes to fruition.
I want to make it clear, no representative has said they have any money. They merely are saying, let's do this, and you know what? We should. If there's money out there, I think we should be standing in line for it. And I think previously we kind of didn't. But we're there at least somewhere at the beginning of the line. And then as more people get on board and more people get involved in this, then maybe we can get more pressure on that stimulus money, or the money that truly is set aside that has nothing to do with the stimulus, the $60 billion that I alluded to. Now, do I know the $60 billion is there? I don't know that. I was just told that. So that's what we're going on, that basis that there is those funds there, and I kind of think they are. But we'll have to check with Mayor Daley first. Any other questions on that? One thing I have to report. Let's go to the board members.
I'm quiet again today.
Oh, I have. Really? Steve Recruiter. Anything?
Bob Scholl.
Very good.
In the western part of the county, we're trying to find a system to upgrade and improve the early warning system around the Reddick area. So if anyone has any suggestions, ideas, or any spare money you would like to contribute, please let me know.
Len, you want to identify yourself?
Yeah, Larry Toby, I have nothing to report.
Jim?
Jim Vickery, just glad to be back, that's it. Recuperating and back at it.
Jeff Bennett, I know, Joe, you've got plans come summer for the Bradley Roper plant, but Arctic snow is really quite a story, and they've continued to spend tremendous amount of money renovating the 65,000 square feet they're in, which was a nice piece to that negotiation where it's their dollars renovating it, and then equipping it with robotics to make these snow plows, and they've signed up to expand by another 30,000 square feet in the space there. And good employment comes with that. Local Bradley gentleman is the plant manager and doing a nice job there. Camelot School, which was announced some time ago, has now signed a lease at the former Kroger building. Village of Bourbonnais allowed the zoning to change. The significance of that is it's a big employment generator. And, they'll start out with about 30 employees, and with plans could get up to as many as 100. And it's a sort of a therapeutic recreation type of worker. So it's a college grad, and all these people lining up for those jobs.
Elizabeth?
Thanks. I do have, actually, my office manager dropped off the latest layoff spreadsheet. I think I brought one last month. We've seen about 90 total Pettinghouse employees over the course of the last month. That's probably been the toughest news in Kankakee. Some other stuff going on in Pontiac, but graphic packaging in Morris was the biggest one in Morris. Other than that, the workforce board's excited about the stimulus money. We expect in our area to get just shy of $2 million. Don't quote me, please, because I don't know for sure. But it looks like we're gonna get about that, and that's a little bit less than what we get typically in a whole year. So, and that'll go directly toward training and additional workforce development activities.
Beth Brasso from Manpower. I just brought up copies of our quarterly employment outlook survey. This is a 48-year-old survey that's been a really good indicator of where business is going. Just real quickly, looks like we are about flat as a country. There are some companies, about 15% that are expecting to hire, about 14% that are expecting to let go. Everybody else is holding steady. Midwest pretty much reflects that as well. And it surveys the top 200 MSAs in the country, and unfortunately, we're not that big yet. So, but they have plenty of copies for those that want them.
Don St. Germain, I'm representing Hutchinson's Senate office, and I just want to reiterate what Joe spoke earlier of. Senator Hutchinson is fully behind this airport and the other two initiatives that the Economic Alliance had presented in the past, which is interchange 6,000 in the bi-state road, better known as the Indiana Expressway. Correct, Joe? And going through the process of appointing Senator Hutchinson, one of the things we did very early on with those candidates that were in that running was to look at Kankakee County issues from an economic development standpoint. There was a lot of concern with the people that were vying for that seat. Where did they stand on the third airport? They kind of backed Jackson's plan, or did they back Will County control? And Hutchinson, just to put this out for the group today, backs Will County control. But she's really become more acclimated with our airport, and will probably do everything she can to basically help it do a great.
Nick Allen with Congresswoman Halverson's office.
Nick Smith, I'm glad you said that, Don, because I didn't want to personally say her position on our airport. I thought it was pretty aggressive, and there's so much politics with the other third airport. I think probably there isn't anybody here who believes that that third airport is ever going to take place unless there's some giant adjustments in the attitudes up there, and I don't know how that would take place. So maybe we stand up a pretty good chance of doing something good down here.
Well, one of the things we dealt with some of the other senators in Springfield is, I used an analogy of a house. You're going to put a room addition on. It's a lot easier to go in and request permits. You've already got your initial structure in place. The Belle Piatone got all the engineering, all the problems it's had. In my mind, it's a long ways away. And Senator Hutchinson has seen that analogy makes a lot of sense. This could become a lot more of an economic engine in this part of the district. She's also put that in writing, which I've given to Joe Franklin. So she's fully behind this 100%. At some point in the future, she does want to address the board at one of your meetings. Bring up this thing. Thanks, Don. Nick.
Just wanted to say that I talked to Mike about this some time back, but the Congresswoman will be at next month's meeting here. So maybe if anyone has any questions or anything, we can talk more in depth. She was at the airport last month, brought her out there. She was impressed and excited by some of the opportunities we could have out there. Also wanted to let everyone know, our staff put together a 52-page guide to the stimulus package, and that's on our website at house.gov/Halverson. So if there are any questions about that, it runs down all of the competitive grants that are out there, and it's a pretty good resource. I haven't gotten through the entire document yet. It just was put on the website Wednesday morning, so feel free to check that out too.
Kelly McLaren, I have nothing.
Michael Mormon, Nursery.
Leo Whitten, District 23, Bradley, no report.
George Washington, Kankakee County.
Mike Bossert, County Board Chairman. I'm not stealing anybody else's thunder, but on Tuesday, the County Board approved, as you read in the paper, approved the special use permit for the Vision Energy Wind Farm, at the west end of the county. That was the final step in a process to get that special use permit. So the way is open here to start that project. I would say sometime this summer or fall. There's still a couple details to work out yet in the way of a highway agreement, but that should be a formality in terms of getting a final agreement in place. So I think the indication from the county board is that it was a unanimous vote, and I think that is an indication of the support in the community and from everybody involved. Starting with the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing in Herscher, where after an hour of testimony or better, there was not one negative comment from the public or anybody concerned. Just personally, from the start of that project out there a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, some of the farmer comments out there is that they've never seen anything like it. People go to the meeting, they listen, they say, where do I sign? There was no back and forth and an argument about the terms of the agreement. So I guess we're pretty excited about that. This is Mike, somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion project by the time they complete construction across the whole 300 turbine wind farm. So the terminus of that wind farm is in here in our county, in our community, and in terms of the outlet for the electricity that's going to hook into the grid, so that will be a plus for our area. We're working out the details on that. So, any questions on any of that? It's a big, complicated project, a lot of interesting factors.
The one follow-up I'd like to make of Mike's comment was that dealing with the company, I mean, they've always been willing over the last couple of years to answer any questions you have, willing to consider any proposals that you come up with or any challenges. I mean, they've been more than cooperative.
I had a chance to talk to the county board chairman from Stark County at an event I was at a couple of weeks ago. I pulled him aside. I said, "Okay, how did it really go over there? Because that is one of their other wind farm in Illinois." And he honestly says this company was great to work with. They had no problems. They followed through on all promises made as far as road conditions and follow-up issues. So it was a good experience for them. Well, the leases are 20 to 30 years with the owners. I forget which. The projections that the company was making in terms of tax revenue to the local taxing bodies, they used a 25-year window just as a demonstration of how that might work. There is a little bit of concern as to the fact that the property tax structure that's used on a wind turbine that's in place is dictated by statute. That statute will expire in a couple of years, but I'm getting assurances from the legislators that will be extended. They are starting to work on that now. So I think that whole issue is less of an issue now than it was maybe a week or so ago.
Very exciting. Thank you.
It's June McBride, Liverpool.
If you wonder why Sherry's sitting over there by herself, she said she has a cold, so.
Thank you.
And Nikki didn't know any better, so he sat by her.
I'm immune to such things. Nikki Yates, Kankakee County Board. Nothing to report.
Bill Yonka, Kankakee, nothing to report today.
Craig Blanchett, Aqua, Illinois, nothing to report.
Joe Nugent with Nugent Curtis Real Estate. A couple of things I wanted to thank Mike and the Alliance for their help in really spearheading to get the former acetate plant involved in the enterprise zone, and I believe that should be done anytime now, hopefully.
Need a letter.
Okay, we did a letter today. And actually that building is now in the hand of some owners that are gonna be able to lease that facility, probably open up some more options for that as well too, and hopefully we'll be able to get something happening there. And although it's not in Kankakee County, something that is interesting is in Pontiac, actually we're closing on a building next week, 23,000 square foot of a facility or a company that is expanding, so and I'd say you would understand as much. Yeah, and there's and that's it's pretty depressed area, and for that to occur, we think is pretty promising in general. So.
Adrienne Martin, Economic Alliance and KCC. I just wanted to report that for March we've seen over 6,000 hits on the website, the Alliance website. The newsletter is also on the table beside the door. And we also have committee descriptions. If you'd like to serve on Green Jobs or Finance Committee or an Economic Review Committee, we have that. And then also some other projects that we're doing. For the Eastside Council, we've been working with the Eastside Council to conduct business surveys, asking about the general business climate. And we've surveyed over 40 businesses, just asking them what are some barriers to growth and what improvements could be made to help their business. And the good news is that over half of them have plans for growth, that they want to expand their business in some way. And some of them have been there, it spans from less than a year to 58 years. And the total number of jobs that we've surveyed is 434. So that's one project we've been working on. Another thing we have coming up on Friday, there's an urban green commerce community planning project that we're working with to see how we can accomplish energy efficiency on a large scale for businesses and also create green jobs. So if anyone is interested in coming, it's from 1 until 4 on Friday on the fourth floor of the Executive Center. And last, on March 25th, Wednesday at 12 noon, Green Jobs, we're having recycled energy development. The VP and industrial engineer come to introduce the new sustainability technology that they have. It's a combined heat and power system that recycles an industry's waste back through their industry so that they become more energy efficient. So if you would like to come to that or know any, we're inviting some local industries, so if you would like to extend that invitation, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Kathy Meltzer with State Representative Lisa Dugan, nothing to report.
Karen Schmidt, District 14, County Board, nothing.
Janine Loftus, I'm Executive Director for the Main Street Program, which is under the auspices of Illinois Main Street and the National Main Street Center and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. We're a volunteer-driven downtown economic development program. And we are reeling after the National Main Street Conference that we attended at the Palmer House in Chicago. There was myself and 5 volunteers that attended at various times during the conference, and I have some things to report about some things that were covered at the conference. We learned some best case practices in design and signage, implementing successful facade grant programs. In the economic restructuring area and economic development, we attended a 3-hour session on market analysis. We learned about community-owned businesses and business improvement districts, how to work with Hispanic entrepreneurs. There were several sessions in that area. The name of the conference was Main Street 2.0, so there was lots of information and sessions on website development, blogs, Facebook, Twitter, and how you can use that in your business and your program. So social media is the up-and-coming economic development tool and ways to get people involved in Main Street programs and become entrepreneurs. We also are going to develop a working document for the people that attended the conference. So many times you go to conferences, you come back, you might take a couple things that you learned and utilize it, but what we're doing is we've asked the volunteers and myself, we're going to each write a synopsis of the knowledge gained and how it can benefit Momence's historic downtown district, and we're going to put that into a document and present it to our board of directors. So anyone that's interested in learning a little bit about what we learned, we can provide that document to you over the next month. The other thing is Governor Pat Quinn was there to welcome the 1,600 people that attended the conference from all over the state and all over the country for Main Street programs. And in his very words, as you know, the Illinois Main Street program was cut in 2002. He brought the program under his wing, and he said now that it's in the governor's office, which is where it's being administered at this time, he said, you ain't seen nothing yet. So we're very happy about that. We want to welcome the Bennett Commercial and Bennett Homes real estate office that opened up in downtown Momence. They're actually our next door neighbor, so we're very excited about that. A great addition to our downtown. And our ER committee is working on their property and business inventory. So that's it. Thank
She's
you.
been very helpful. I want to thank her also. She has helped me in some of the smaller communities that we've been working with, and trying to put together some economic development strategies for smaller community downtown plans. And as you know, smaller communities are challenged, and they have special needs. And Janine is my resource for the communities that come to me and ask for some assistance. St. Anne's, the Chavances, Grant Parks, and that sort of thing. So she's been very helpful with that.
Mark?
Mark Waukesha, good morning, nothing to add.
Is there somebody sitting over there? I can't.
No.
Okay. Lisa?
Yeah, as Adrian mentioned, the newsletter is sitting over there by the door. If you want to pick one up, we'll be distributing it basically by email. So I would suggest, after you read it, of course, passing it along to any colleagues, to pass along our news, what the Alliance is up to. It's really easy to do when you get it by email, just pass it on, forward it to people. And the Alliance has a LinkedIn group and is on Twitter now, so it's kind of exciting. We're talking about Web 2.0, so if anybody uses those tools, make sure to look us up. That's it.
Thank you. Miss anybody? Let's go to old business first, not new business. Any old business? How about new business? I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, aye.